Following the swift and devastating German victory over France in June 1940, the country was divided not only by military occupation but also by political allegiance. The Vichy regime, led by Marshal Philippe Pétain, governed the unoccupied free zone of southern France but did so under the shadow of Nazi Germany. Although officially neutral and independent, Vichy France became a puppet of Berlin, with Germany exercising vast influence over its policies, economy, and society. The collaboration between Vichy and Nazi Germany stands as a controversial chapter in French history, one marked by complicity, compromise, and repression. The fall of France and the birth of Vichy. After just 6 weeks of fighting in 1940, France was overwhelmed by the German blitzkrieg. On June 22, 1940, an armistice was signed in the same railway carriage where Germany had surrendered in 1918, an act of deliberate humiliation by Hitler. France was divided into two zones. Occupied zone, northern and western France including Paris, under direct German military control. Unoccupied zone, free zone southern France, governed by the French state headquartered in Vichy, a spa town. Marshal Pétain, a hero of World War I, became head of the Vichy government. His regime replaced the French Republic with an authoritarian state under the motto, Travail, Famille, Patrie, work, family, fatherland. Political influence, a regime of collaboration. Although the Vichy government maintained a degree of autonomy, its survival depended on German approval and cooperation. In return, Vichy leaders offered political loyalty and collaboration with Nazi objectives. Pétain and Prime Minister Pierre Laval openly collaborated with the Nazis, believing it would protect France and preserve its sovereignty. The Vichy regime dissolved democratic institutions, suspended elections and enacted repressive laws, many under German pressure. Vichy police worked closely with the Gestapo, particularly in hunting down resistance members and enemies of the state. Over time, German officials increasingly dictated French domestic and foreign policy decisions, especially after November 1942 when Germany occupied all of France in response to the Allied landings in North Africa. Economic control and exploitation. Germany exerted heavy economic pressure on Vichy France, demanding resources, goods and labor to fuel its war effort. France was required to pay massive occupation costs, effectively financing the German military presence. Industrial production was redirected to serve the German economy, including deliveries of food, coal and manufactured goods. Through the Service du Travail Obligatoire, STO, introduced in 1942, tens of thousands of French workers were forcibly deported to Germany to work in war industries. This economic exploitation caused widespread shortages, rationing and hardship for ordinary French citizens, deepening resentment against both the Germans and the Vichy regime. The persecution of Jews. Perhaps the most tragic area of Vichy's collaboration with Germany was its participation in the Holocaust. In 1940–41, Vichy passed its own anti-Jewish laws even before being required by Germany, barring Jews from public service, education, and business. Vichy authorities actively participated in rounding up Jews for deportation, including the infamous Vel d'Hiv roundup in July 1942, where over 13,000 Jews, including 4,000 children, were arrested and later sent to Auschwitz. Unlike in some occupied countries, Vichy France deported both foreign and French Jews, a stark example of independent collaboration with Nazi racial policies. While some officials and clergy resisted, the state apparatus as a whole was complicit in the persecution. German military and intelligence presence. Even in the unoccupied zone, Germany maintained informal control through diplomacy, intelligence agents and military advisors. German SS and Gestapo officers operated in Vichy territory, often with the assistance of French police. German propaganda and censorship influenced French media and education. Resistance fighters who opposed both Vichy and German rule were relentlessly hunted by German and French collaborationist forces like the Milice, a paramilitary force loyal to Vichy. After the full German occupation of France in November 1942, Vichy's autonomy ended completely, though the regime continued in name. Vichy's legacy and the German connection. As the Allies advanced through France in 1944, the Vichy regime collapsed. Many officials fled or were arrested. Pétain was tried for treason and sentenced to life imprisonment. The German-Vichy relationship left a deeply scarred legacy in France. The post-war French government, led by Charles de Gaulle, declared Vichy illegitimate, branding it a state of collaboration. Thousands of collaborators were tried in the épuration légale, legal purge, and some were executed or imprisoned. The truth of Vichy's voluntary role in German plans, including the Holocaust, took decades to be fully acknowledged by the French state. Germany's influence in Vichy France was a powerful example of occupation through manipulation. Rather than enforcing total control through brute force, Nazi Germany allowed a native regime to administer the country under its watchful eye, extracting economic resources, enforcing repression and furthering genocidal policies. The Vichy government's willingness to collaborate with its occupier has left a lasting stain on French history, one that underscores the moral complexities and tragedies of wartime Europe.